been up here, and someone who can take this job very seriously, because we don't goof off when we're up here holding our flags, right? How about right there? You come on up. And somebody else over here. How about right there? No, right behind, blonde hair. There you go. Come on up. All right, so you want to grab that one? And grab that one? Okay, are you ready? I'll knuckle bump you in just a minute. Okay, here we go. All right, so, oh, yeah, it's kind of sticky because of the tape, sorry. Okay, we got it? Okay. All right, we start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Let's put our hands on our hearts. Remember, we do stand for this, so if you're sitting down, this is a chance for you to fix that. Okay, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then we just turn right over here, and our Awana pledge is right on the board, and here we go. I pledge allegiance to the Awana flag, which stands for the Awana Clubs, whose goal is to reach boys and girls with the gospel of Christ and train them to serve him. All right. Very nice. Thank you, helpers. Can you get that one in there? You got to kind of push it through the tape. There you go. All right. Oh, wait. Okay, good. Knuckles. There you go. All right. Very good. Thank you so much, both of you. And now we can all sit down. Oh, did you hear them singing today? I mean, they were rocking the house. So, yeah, I had a little.
Did you have like
I had like a coughing, like in the middle of a song. I'm like, and now here's the next verse. It was like I was a cat with a hairball or something. I don't know what it was. So.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're all looking at me like, what's going on with John? He's losing it. So, all right.
You usually sing so pretty.
Yeah, that was not a pretty moment, let me tell you. You know what's also not pretty? Some of the animals that we looked at last week.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not necessary. Whatever you're about to say is not true. Don't listen to her. I mean, listen to her later, but not now. Okay.
Okay, so hi everybody. Yay, I'm excited to be back. I'm hoping that you all remember we're doing some lessons on animals in the Bible and how some of the stories of the animals in the Bible are some of my very favorite ones. In fact, the one we're doing tonight is one of my favorite Bible stories in the entire Bible. It's also probably one of the most famous animal stories like ever. I'm not even going to say the most famous in the Bible. I think it's probably one of the most famous Bible or animal stories. It's very, very, very well known. But before we get there, let's just talk for 1 second about last week. Last week we talked about the very first animal story that ever existed ever, because it was the moment animals were created, right? 1 minute there were animals, and then the next minute there were no animals. So why don't you?
I can come over.
Yeah, how about?
Wait,
although no skipping slides. I'm watching you.
Can I run the slides?
I'm watching you. No skipping slides.
Oh my gosh, Danny, I'm so excited. I'm going to come run slides.
Okay. No skipping slides, John.
I'm going to push buttons too.
Okay. He's coming. All right.
Okay.
Wait, last week, no skipping slides, John Olson. So last week, we talked about Adam and when animals were created, the very first moment animals existed. One moment they didn't exist, the next moment they did. God created them out of nothing, and then Adam named them. You may remember, excuse me, I might need your water, just kidding. You may remember that John and I had talked a little bit last week about how creative and artistic God is with some of these animals that he's made. They're just amazing and beautiful. You may remember that he is horrified by the eye. Remember the with the eyes?
It was
remember?
Scary beyond all reason.
Yes, so he was terrified of the eye. But one thing you may or may not know about Mr. John is that when he starts getting excited about something, it's really hard for him to stop.
That is
so even though last week is the week that we showed like these slides of these really, kind of interesting, some of them were really cute, some of them were really horrifying looking animals. So that lesson was over, but Mr. John can't always stop, and he has just been kind of going crazy about finding all these other interesting animals. So John and I are we sit in our living room and we're working on lesson plans or we're doing whatever. Or let me rephrase. I'm working on lesson plans and I think he's working on lesson plans. And then my phone will just randomly buzz and I'll look at it and there'll be a picture of some insane animal and I'll be like, what are you doing? He's like, have you ever seen one of these before? Like, that has nothing to do with lesson plans. So this week, he asked me, please, can I please share a slide of the 3 animals I found this week that were my favorite?
Just look at them.
So here they are. The first one is the cuttlefish, which is like kind of a cute name. And because it sounds like cuddle, right?
He changes his colors.
The middle one there, the duck-billed platypus, and then the third one has a cute name, pink fairy armadillo. I'm not gonna lie, if I hadn't seen the picture, I would think the pink fairy thing was the cutest, because pink fairy, isn't that cute?
But the duck-billed platypus, it's as if he is saying, hello there, I think you should rub my tummy.
Come rub my tummy. Yes, that's what our dog does. He is really cute. I had no idea that a platypus was so cute. Did you guys know? I thought they were... I don't know what I thought a platypus was. Anyway, so now, honey, are you happy because you got to share?
I am satisfied with our weird animals for the week.
For the week?
Until next week when I find 25 more.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I don't even have anything to say. So going back to our lesson for this week, we're talking about, if you haven't guessed yet, we're talking about Noah and the ark. And oh, wow, you are so on top of the slides. Noah's Ark, this is a very cool picture of Noah's Ark. We are going to kind of read the story out of the Bible and talk about it at the same time. So go ahead and hit the next slide.
I did. Right. I didn't.
There you go. Okay, so the story is found at the beginning of Genesis. This is 6 generations after Adam. So Adam and Eve, we talked just a teeny bit about Eve. Adam and Eve had children, and their children had children, and their children had children, and now there were people all over the earth, okay? But unfortunately, the people who were living on the earth became wicked, and they had turned away from God, and they weren't following what God wanted them to do. And the Bible tells us this is kind of a scary statement in some ways. The Bible in verse 5 here, 6:5 says, "The Lord saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." So in other words, people were evil, wicked, bad, okay? All of them. He looked over the whole earth, and people were wicked. Okay, then the next verse says, and this verse kind of shook me the first time I read it, okay? It says, "And the Lord regretted that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart." Now, the way we might say that in 2021 was that God was sorry he made people. He was sorry he made people. Like, what? That's a pretty huge statement. He's looking over all these people and he's like, I shouldn't have done it. He was sorry. It grieved him to his heart. Okay, next slide, please, John. Except for one person. Okay, verse 8 says, "But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord." These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. So over the whole earth, God looked over the whole earth and he only saw Noah. Okay? And he decides that he is going to wipe out everybody and start over except for Noah and his family. So now he's going to tell Noah this. Okay, can you imagine being Noah on this end of this? Verse 13 says, "And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh," meaning I'm going to end people, okay? "For the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth." Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. I'm guessing that by the time God got to verse 14, Noah was shaking in his shoes a little bit because God was saying, I'm wiping everybody out. I'm destroying the earth. So when he said, but you get to make an ark of gopher wood, I'm sure that Noah was probably very emotional, but for sure grateful and relieved, okay? So verse 18 says, but I will establish my covenant. Covenant is like a promise. I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark. You, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. So let's count those people. Noah, Mrs. Noah. I call her Mrs. Noah because we don't know her name. Mrs. Noah. And then he has 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and they're all married. So how many wives are there? 3. How many fingers do I have up? So of the whole earth, everyone is dying except for how many people? 8 people. Okay, keep that in mind. God told him in verse 14, you're going to make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Now, he told Noah exactly what to do. He told him how big to make it. He told him to put rooms in it. He even told him to put this little vent, like this little window in it so that air can get in and out. And this is very different than the boat that you guys might see here in Minnesota on a lake, because this boat doesn't need to steer, okay? It didn't need a, like, do you call it a steering wheel on a boat? What do you call it? Like I'm thinking of a pirate ship thing. I don't know what you call that thing. A steering wheel. Doesn't need a steering wheel. Didn't need a rudder. Nobody was out paddling. It didn't need to steer. All it needed to do was float. God was going to take care of the steering, okay? This was a huge boat filled with rooms made out of gopher wood, and all it had to do was float. Okay, next slide.
You know, Miss Kristen?
Sorry.
A voice from the sky, if I may. One thing I noticed, I put that picture in the bottom right corner there because it really got me thinking about what was everybody else thinking when he is making this giant boat, and it looks like there's people in that picture that are kind of laughing at his efforts.
For sure, laughing at his efforts. And it took him over 100 years to make the boat, so they laughed for a lot of years. Okay, turn it. Now, Genesis 6:19. This is still God saying this. And of every living thing of all flesh, so living things, right, animals, you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every sort shall come in to you to keep them alive. Pause. That means a boy and a girl of every animal. Okay? A boy and a girl of every animal are coming onto the ark. Now, my first thought was, can you imagine going and like catching those things? Like, why didn't Noah get eaten by the lion when he went to catch the lion, right? Or eaten by any number of those animals. But it's because he didn't have to go out and catch them, okay? He didn't like have to make a trap or like put out peanut butter. I don't know how you catch a lion. That's how you catch a mouse, I think. But he didn't have to go do that. The Bible tells us that God brought all the animals to him. So he told Noah, you need to do this. You need to have a boy and a girl of every animal. But then God provided the animals. Okay, verse 21, also take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and them. Okay, so you can't have a huge boat full of 8 people and all these animals and no food, right? So, I mean, this was a huge job. It took Noah a very long time. As Mr. John pointed out, he was probably getting laughed at, mocked, made fun of. People probably thought he was crazy, probably called him that, crazy. But he kept going. He and those 8 people kept working, filling up the food stores, getting everything ready. And here is one of my 2 favorite verses of the whole story is right here. Verse 22. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. All. The word all. He did it all. I'm sure there were nights he was dog tired, or maybe he thought, what am I doing? I think I maybe am crazy. What am I doing? But verse 22 says he did all that God commanded. And that's something that I hold on to because I think, do I do all that God asked me to? I don't know. I think I fall short a lot. But Noah did all of it. Okay, now my other favorite verse is coming. Okay, chapter 7, verse 16. We're getting towards the big day. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing as God had commanded Noah. Okay, so all the boy and girl animals are going onto the ark. Those 8 people are going onto the ark. And then here's the other verse I love. Then the Lord shut him in. Now, we are pretty sure that the door of the ark was a door that Noah could have opened and closed by himself. And the reason that we know that, this is a little bit of a spoiler, is that later on in the story, you find out that God tells Noah to open the door. Okay? So there's some way that Noah could have opened and shut that door. So when they load the animals, and they load the food, and they load the people, why doesn't God say, shut the door, Noah? He doesn't. He doesn't say that. It says very clearly, the Lord shut the door. I love this thought because not only did God shut this door, but any door, let me assure you, any door that God shuts, nobody is going to open. Right? Nobody's going to open. And as soon as God shuts that door, it starts to rain. Now, I'm not going to tell you too much because some of this is next week's story, but I want you to imagine for a moment when people who were laughing at him, even people who weren't laughing at him, start to understand what's happening with the rain, where are they going to go? To the ark, right? And they're going to try to get on. Do you think that they could get that door open when God shut the door? No. When God sealed that door, that was it. The animals that were inside, the 8 people who were inside, they were safe. God was protecting them inside. He shut it and sealed it. Done. And there was no going back. Now, I'm going to leave you at the rain. You'll need to come back next week to find out what happened after it started raining. Some of you might know some of it. I hope you come back next week and hear about what happened after God shut that door. But first, let's take a minute and pray over Awana, and then we'll dismiss, okay? Thank you for being such good listeners. Here we go. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you so much for everybody in this room. I'm so grateful for each and every clubber and each and every leader. Lord, I thank you for this story of Noah's Ark. I thank you for a reminder to us that when you ask us to do something, no matter what it is, we should do everything that you ask us to do. And thank you, Lord, just like you shut and sealed Noah into that ark, that you protect us too. Lord, please be with everybody in this room. Help us have a wonderful time at Awana and bring us all back next week safely. In your name, amen.